Oh, snap. Welcome back to the channel, y'all. My name is Patrick. If you are new here, go ahead and hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button. If you enjoy the content, hit the subscribe button. True crime live streams every single night, virtually every night. Don't miss much. Don't miss very many. We're live on TikTok as well. Shout out to TikTok. Thanks for popping in, y'all. We got cases to talk about tonight. The first one, this is Trinity Bostic. One Tennessee teenager is gone, and another is behind bars after a missing persons case becomes a homicide prosecution in a matter of days. Whoa! So we're going to be talking about that. We're going to be talking about a 22-year-old nursing student who was found unalive, wrapped in sheets in a car in Mississippi in a graveyard. What is happening? A man called 911 and claimed a woman suffered from an OD at the Palms Casino. Turns out that wasn't true. And then a 13-year-old was apparently fatally wounded in an altercation at a food court. Did y'all hear about this? Yesterday. What? This world is crazy, isn't it? YouTube, come on in. I started early. I've been starting late, so I was like, you know what? I'm going to start early. But come on in, y'all. And I'm going to shrink myself down. And let's get started. Let's see what's going on here. Let's see what's going on in this crazy world.
It's every parent's worst nightmare. A teenage girl goes missing, and a few days later, she's found dead in the woods. And worse yet, in this case, another teen, a classmate of hers, is charged with her murder. Did he kill her? And if he did, why? And how will the classmates and her family live with this tragedy? We're going to dive into the details.
Oh my God.
And talk with family law attorney Matt Hinson right now. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. Macon County High School in Tennessee had ended for the summer. Students were
Stovall's happy birthday.
looking forward to kicking back, enjoying their break. But for one 17-year-old and her family and friends, that was not to be. On July 3rd, Trinity Bostic, a girl described as a firecracker, someone who would light up any room she walked into, kind-hearted, smart, someone who had her whole life in front of her, was found dead. Her body was discovered by a Tennessee Department of Transportation worker who was picking up trash along Vietnam Veterans Boulevard in Hendersonville. Her cause of death is still being investigated, but what we do know is that a teenage boy has been arrested in connection with her death, facing a charge of first-degree murder.
Dear
I'm going to
Lord.
lay out the timeline of events for you as laid out by reporting in this case. So on June 29th, Trinity had done something out of character. Her friend Chloe Redfield remembers, quote, "She actually had texted me that she was running away from home." So Chloe kept trying to call Trinity, but when she didn't answer, Chloe grew suspicious since it wasn't like her friend to just go off the grid. Now, Chloe said she didn't really believe that Trinity had disappeared until the sheriff's office for Macon County came knocking at her door at 10 that night. So the Macon County Sheriff's
Oh, no. Candy Perfume Girl, good to see you. Thanks for popping in.
Department, they had received a runaway report. They traced Trinity's phone to Sumner County, which is about an hour away, and they sent out a bolo be on the lookout. But here's a question. Does any of that make sense? Did Trinity really run away? Her friends described her as someone who was excited about graduating the following year, a smart girl, a hard worker, loving, caring. She enjoyed music, fashion, working on cars with her father at his auto body shop. So why would she just pick up and leave, right? And as we know, her remains are found in a small wooded area near a road. So something's not making sense here about all this.
That's crazy.
Now, Trinity's friends and family, they're in shock. And you know what also makes this incredibly sad? Is that reportedly this wasn't the first Macon County student to lose their life. No, class president Landon Connor said that in the past 4 years, a student had passed away each year from different causes. In this case, we have a suspect. And as I mentioned, Hendersonville police, they have arrested and charged a 17-year-old classmate of Trinity's. Now, police, they haven't released his identity because he's a minor, but he is being held in Sumner County where Trinity's body was found. Trinity's friend Chloe said that the boy had gone to high school with them. And Landon Connor, again, the class president, said he was in their grade, that he talked to him a couple of times but didn't really know him. Hendersonville police said
Whoa.
they do suspect foul play here in connection with Trinity's death, but it didn't elaborate any further. They did release a statement saying,
This is in Tennessee, Mama Bear.
in order to maintain the integrity of the investigation, that's why they're not releasing any more information. But anybody with information about Trinity or how her body wound up near that road is asked to call the Hendersonville Police Department at 615-822-1111 or the Hendersonville Crime Stoppers at 615-594-4113. So to help make sense of this crime, which is really, it seems impossible to do because it seems, how do you make sense of this? But I do have a lot of questions, and I think a lot of us have a lot of questions. I want to talk to family law attorney Matt Henson, who has, unfortunately, specific experience in this area because Matt has represented the family of Tristan Bailey. That was that 13-year-old Florida girl who was brutally killed by her classmate, then 14-year-old Aiden Fucci. We actually produced a whole crime episode on it where we spoke with Tristan Bailey's family. Matt, good to see you. What is your initial impression of a story like this?
It's sad. It's gut-wrenching that we're seeing this yet again in our society, and unfortunately, we're seeing more and more cases of things like this in the media, in our local communities as well. So my heart, and I can tell you the family of Tristan Bailey, their heart goes out to Trinity's family as well.
They're aware of the case. Have they offered support in any way to Trinity's family?
It's such a new case it's out there in the media. I haven't had a chance to speak with them on any specifics yet, but I can tell you from the standpoint of the foundation, and I'm the president of the Tristan Bailey Foundation as well. We do offer victim advocacy services to any family anywhere in the United States that is going through this, where they've lost a child, and dealing with the media aspect of it as well as what they have to expect from prosecutors.
I was going to ask you that. In terms of what her family and friends are going through, what are the services your foundation could provide? Do you believe that retaining an attorney at this point in time is a wise decision? I mean, what would an attorney help with? What are some of the issues they're now navigating?
The primary issues they're now navigating, and this is what we as a larger community need to understand and remember, is the primary issues they're dealing with is grief. They're dealing with the grieving, and it's not just their family, but all of the children in that community are dealing with a massive grief. They need to focus on that, number one. Number two, whether or not the family needs an attorney, that's really kind of a specific issue for whatever the circumstances are in the case. My role in helping all of the families that I've worked with, and it's not just Tristan Bailey's family, I've worked with others in other states, is assisting with just understanding the process, because
Stephanie, absolutely. This one got sent to me. Actually, all four of the cases we're talking about tonight got sent to me. So thanks for recommending the videos and sending the videos over, y'all.
The process, and
YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, hit the follow button. Keep tapping the screen like crazy too. Let's get 25,000 likes. And thank you for the hand hearts.
and the criminal justice system is very defendant oriented, is oriented towards their rights. And so there'll be a lot of things, I think you just mentioned, that prosecutors and police will be tight-lipped on, because they need to protect the integrity of that investigation and the ultimate prosecution. And so helping explain that process to them is useful, so that they understand properly what they should plan on seeing and hearing over the coming, what could be years of the criminal process playing out.
Generally speaking, at this point, do you see that while law enforcement might not speak to the media or the public about what's happening in the investigation, do they let the family know? Or is there a concern that if you let the family know, then the information
Melly Angel, thank you.
Might, go out further, and that ultimately might be shared with the wrong people? I mean, I would imagine, I think the right thing to do here is to let the family know what's happening. You don't have to let everybody else know, but let the family know. And I imagine a lawyer could be a good liaison between the family and law enforcement. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, and that is certainly a concern that law enforcement is going to have, is how much information they can share. They want to share. I can tell you that. Law enforcement and prosecutors, they do what they do because they care. And they care not just about their case, but they care about the victims. And the victims in this aren't just, it's not just Trinity. It is the family and the community. So they want to be able to provide those resources, especially before they get brought out to the media. They want to provide that information to them as best they can, but in no way, shape, or form do they want to do so that would compromise anything about bringing justice for Trinity.
And to be clear, I think it's important sometimes for these families to have representation, to explain the process to them, because even if you talk about a trial, what they could be exposed to at a trial. Also, the legal system can be very frustrating when there's delays.
Delinda, thank you.
In a case, I mean, we've talked about.
Y'all, basically, the quick recap is that she was presumed missing, or presumed a runaway. She went missing, but then they found her remains in a forest, and then they arrested and charged one of their classmates, this minor kid, in it. So that's all we know right now. Delinda, thank you. You're so sweet. Let's keep going.
About it before with the Brian Kohberger case, how frustrating that is for that family there, that they haven't seen a trial yet. And we just covered a case another day where a family is very frustrated about the idea of a defendant who may be offered a plea deal, so it doesn't go to trial. So there's a lot of the legal system. Like, I'm a lawyer, I'm an attorney. I think that the legal system is fantastic, but it's not perfect. And there's things that I think it's a really good avenue to have some legal representation to explain certain aspects of this. You mentioned something to me before that you were seeing this a lot. Why are we seeing this a lot? If we're talking about, and look, to be very clear, we don't have a lot of information yet about what happened, but assuming.
Rebecca, we don't know. They just know that she was found in the woods and they arrested one of her classmates. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, by the way, if you want to come watch the video with us, we're live on YouTube and Rumble. Just search The Mystery Project. You can find the channel, y'all. Come on over, subscribe, do all the things on YouTube. And let's keep going. And thanks for the hand hearts, y'all.
This is a classmate of Trinity's. What could possibly be a motive here? What have we seen in other similar cases?
It's really hard to speculate on what the motive would be. I've seen various motives, from jealousy to love, and then sometimes just outright sociopathic behavior. The motive is not anything that we can understand as rational people and reasonable people. But it's probably too early to speculate what the motive would be in this particular situation. But kind of going back to your original question, why are we seeing more of this? I don't know. And I think that's a question for psychologists and individuals who are really going to have to be studying what's happening with our youth today, because it's very different than what we've seen before.
Let me ask you this question. In the cases that you're seeing across the country, and would you agree with me that we are seeing a higher rate of homicides amongst U.S. teenagers? I think I've seen some statistics to indicate that. What are some of the reasons? Is it a relationship? Is it, two people who are in a relationship, classmates in a relationship? Is it jealousy? Is it something else?
It's people being crazy as hell and thinking that they can get away with stuff. It's people being hyper emotional, reacting to something that happens. Like, maybe this girl, like, he tried to kiss this girl, and she was like, no. And then he just was like, ah, and then just like lost his damn mind because he's hyper emotional. Crazy as hell.
Again, we cover a number of different crimes here.
I don't know. I'm not these people, but I'm just saying it nuts.
On our programs, some of them are older adults who, whether it's financial motive or a relationship or something else, do we see those kind of similar factors in teen homicides? Because again, it's just really so upsetting and disturbing to hear about.
I think we see those similar motives. I think they're a lot more emotionally related.
Sarah, yep, we're on YouTube right now as well. Yep, we're live right now. The Mystery Project over on YouTube.
And what we're seeing in some of the teen homicides, specifically when it's teen on teen violence. I wish we had an answer, and I'm sure that we can pontificate on this all day, and so can sociologists. But I think, yes, we are seeing more. It appears very obvious. I don't know how much of that is related to we have more media, so we have more access to that information than we used to. But it certainly seems like we are seeing much more of this happening across our country, whether it's a mass shooting or whether it's an individual one-on-one situation like it is with Trinity.
And by the way, we might sometimes never get a full answer as to why something happened. I think we can all agree that why Tristan Bailey was killed still is a point of mystery and makes absolutely no sense. But going back to Trinity for a second, how do you speak to the family at a time like this? How do you speak to the friends of Trinity at a time like this? It seems almost unimaginable. How do you have a conversation with them at this point? What do you try to talk to them about it? How do you try to, this is so fresh, this just happened. How does that conversation usually go?
I don't think it's much of a conversation. I think if you're close with the family, all you're doing is letting them know that you're there to for whatever they need. You're sorry, and you're there for whatever they need, and they'll let you know if there's something that you can do to help them. They'll let you know. But I think the most important thing is that they know that they are backed. They know that they're not alone in the community, and just letting them know that. From a bigger scale perspective, if you don't know them, I think that one of the most important things that you can do is give them their space, allow them to grieve, and respect their privacy if they don't want to talk. If they do want to talk, let them talk. But if they don't, just respect their privacy as they go through this grieving process, because the grieving process is real. And anyone that's never been through it, which fortunately I have not personally, but I've seen others go through it. It's very important that they have the space that they want.
I think that's very well said. And aside from the family, what about the friends and the classmates within school, the community? How does this affect everybody?
Tremendously. You're talking about children that have lost a level of innocence that they'll never get back. And parents of these children need to be paying attention to them, making sure they're okay. Whether they were close friends or just acquaintances, or maybe even somebody that never knew her, but it's impacting them. And it has a tremendous effect, especially on our youth when they see things like this happening, that we have to pay attention to, especially as parents.
And Matt, before I let you go, how much does a family have a say in, assuming the police say, this is our suspect, we are going to prosecute him, this is it, how much does the family have a say in the determinations of how this person is prosecuted or what happens?
It's really prosecutor by prosecutor and how much they take into account. Most prosecutors are going to talk to the family, and most sheriff's departments are going to talk to the families, and they want their input. They're still going to carry out justice, but they do want their input, and they want to make sure that they're involved in the process. I can tell you that with Tristan Bailey's case, the St. Johns County Sheriff's Department and the 7th Circuit State Attorney's Office was amazing in communicating with them. And they did have quite a bit of conversations and impact in that situation.
Well,
Yo, sorry, burned the hell out of my hand cooking dinner tonight. Well, not really, but it splashed a little bit of something on me. It hurts. So I asked Lex to bring me a little ice cube.
Tell you what, here's what we do know. Trinity, 17 years old, taken right before her life even started. She is being laid to rest this week. Her class is set
Oh my word, only 17.
up a GoFundMe site to help her family with funeral costs, to buy the tombstone. At the time of this recording, they've raised over $13,000. We're going to put it up there in case anybody wants to support and donate. Matt Hinson, I appreciate you coming on. Please extend our best wishes to Tristan Bailey's family. You do remarkable work. I hope everybody can check out your foundation that you're managing, and really you're providing great resources for people at a time when they may seem completely lost. So I hope everybody can check out the Tristan Bailey Foundation. Matt, appreciate you coming on. And again, great seeing you. I just wish, of course, it was under better circumstances.
Absolutely. And we appreciate you having us on, and we're here to help. The foundation's here to help. If Trinity's family needs help, they're welcome to reach out to us as well.
That is heartbreaking, y'all. If you just tuned in, it was a 17-year-old teenager from Tennessee. Her name was Trinity Bostic. She was reported missing, assumed to be a runaway, and then they found her body near a wooded area off the state highway. And then a 17-year-old boy was arrested and charged in her passing. So, holy hell. That's crazy. That is crazy as hell. All right, it's been so long since I had to do this. I don't even know how to do this anymore. Oh yeah, there it is. Oops, got to change the picture. Sorry, TikTok. Bam. All right, let's talk about 22-year-old nursing student found unalived, wrapped in sheets in a car in Mississippi graveyard. Lauren Johansen's. What is going on in this world, y'all? Thank you for sending me these videos, though. And YouTube, make sure you hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. TikTok, tap the screen like crazy. Thank you for the hand hearts. And hit the follow button if you're new here. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, guess what? I'm live every single night. All right, let's keep going.
A 22-year-old is murdered in cold blood and left in a cemetery.
And it wasn't a simple assault where he slapped her. This is an individual that had beaten her severely. So the signs seemed to be there.
Her alleged killer, her ex-boyfriend, who was previously in jail for savagely beating her on a vacation. The body of
Holy hell.
22-year-old Lauren Johansen was...
And this dude is crazy as hell. Entertainment and educational purposes only. TikTok and YouTube.
Tragically discovered on July 3rd. Her remains were found in her own car, reportedly mutilated, wrapped in trash bags and sheets. Authorities would trace the crime to
her
ex, 23-year-old Bricen Rivers, who was jailed just months earlier for severely beating her, but was released on bond shortly before her murder.
As a prosecutor and as a defense attorney, we deal with domestic violence cases all the time. Thankfully, the majority of cases don't result in the absolutely heinous crime that we have before us. And I think one of the things that stands out in this case is not just the actions of the defendant in terms of, and obviously this is allegations, but assuming they're true, but what he did to the woman he allegedly cared for, but how the system failed her as well.
New details just released piece together the timeline of what led to his release and the days leading up to Lauren's murder. So let's begin on December 11th of 2023.
Dear Lord.
Lauren and Rivers were on a vacation in Nashville, Tennessee, when the two reportedly got into an argument that escalated after leaving a local bar. According to Metro Nashville police officers, they later found Lauren beaten inside a car with Rivers in the suburb of Germantown. The inside of the car reportedly was covered in blood, and a handgun was also found.
Oh my God, this dude is garbage.
In the vehicle. According to police, Lauren had cuts on her head, her eye was swollen shut, and the car had blood spattered at the front and found the pistol covered in blood on the floor.
Man. Oh my God.
Floorboard. Rivers reportedly had blood on his...
Put me in, coach. Let me go have a word with him. Allegedly.
Hands and face, but didn't appear to be injured. Lauren told police and paramedics the 23-year-old got mad because she was talking to another man, and the beating had lasted an hour. She explained to police she had been screaming for help at any car that passed by, but he covered her mouth. Rivers was arrested and charged with 2 counts of aggravated kidnapping, 1 count of aggravated stalking, and 1 count of coercion of a witness. Then about a week later, a judge said that Rivers is...
That's a crazy looking dude right there. Holy hell. TikTok, he don't look like this right now. This must be like old as hell. That is a crazy looking dude right there. Oh my God. Dude looks like a boss from like Double Dragon, the video game. Looks like the Rock dude for sure. Oh my God.
Bond at a...
Y'all see that? TikTok, if you're not watch it, come over to YouTube, the Mystery Project on YouTube. You can watch it. YouTube, hit that thumbs up, but we don't even have 100 likes yet, y'all. Come on. Everybody watching, hit the thumbs up.
$250,000. Lauren's father, Lance Johansen, would tell local station WLOX he was in the Nashville courtroom and told the judge if they let Rivers out of jail, Rivers was going to kill Lauren. Adding it was the 5th or 6th time they got into a fight and Rivers would beat her. Their family would try to get Lauren away from him, but Rivers would always weasel his way back in. The warning to the judge was ominous.
Man, if I was that dad, I'd have handled that too, allegedly. But somebody's coming after your family, you have the right to defend your family. I'd have handled that real quick.
Because within months of the bail hearing, the horrific murder occurred. On March 13th, Rivers requested a reduced bond. Then weeks after the request, a judge would approve the reduced bond to $150,000, which Rivers was able.
Why the hell did they let that dude out? Man, that is crazy as hell.
To post.
And I think you had a case here where it was clear that the family made clear to the judge that if this individual got out, their child would eventually be killed, and they were right. And so we have to ask some questions about the decision making on the judge's part.
Man, that's crazy. Sued. Remember that, y'all? We used to go sued, sue everybody.
Lower the bail. And then it seems like there was just a domino effect of mistakes along the way that resulted in his ability to be able to travel wherever he wanted without any regard for the GPS monitoring, for the judge, for the courts, and be able to eventually commit the crime that is believed that he did.
Law&Crime.
That's crazy.
Legal analyst Julie Rindelman explains the judge's decision to reduce bond would spark a tragic and devastating domino effect.
Look, I hate to Monday morning quarterback a judge's decision. I think from the evidence, it sounds like this is a young woman that had been beaten and battered before the initial arrest. The arrest itself involved a beating from what we've been told to basically a pulp where there was blood everywhere in the vehicle.
Sweet baby Jesus.
Where there were clear signs that this was an individual that, if let out, was potentially going to injure her more severely or kill her, such that the father made it clear that that was clearly something that could happen.
Rivers' bond came with conditions. Rivers was reportedly ordered not to leave Davidson County, Tennessee, and was ordered to wear a GPS monitor after posting bond. Then in a May hearing, Rivers and his mother asked for the condition of his bond to be changed so he could live in Mississippi and not Davidson County. However, the judge denied that request. In June, Rivers' assigned probation officer sent a copy of the judge's order to Tracking Solutions, a GPS monitoring company, and it was requested an email be sent to the district attorney's office to get the appropriate addresses for exclusion zones. Rivers' attorney then provided the courts with an address he would allegedly be staying at in Davidson County.
It is not an easy job for a judge to make a decision when it comes to especially these domestic violence cases, because you don't know what someone is capable of. And
so you err on the side of caution. That's not difficult at all. You go, oh, I don't know what you're capable of, but we do know what you did already. Jail. Stay there. Stay there. Stay there.
You can
that is crazy as hell.
Release someone who has not committed a incredibly, I guess we'll call it, serious domestic violence case, and they can still go out and kill. This case is a little unique because the signs seemed to be there. Remember the initial beating, he had a gun with him, and it wasn't the first time he had beaten her. And it wasn't that he beat her lightly. He beat her so significantly.
That is sick. You gonna burn in hell for that one, dude.
And it wasn't a simple assault where he slapped her. This is an individual that had beaten her severely. So the signs seemed to be there, and it was incumbent on everybody along the way.
Yeah, how was that not attempted red rum? Emma, that's what I'm saying. The first one, how was that not attempted?
To ensure that if they were going to release him, which I think many of us have questions about whether they should have, that they were going to release him.
Man, look at that dude's eyes. That dude's dark as hell. Looking crazy.
within parameters that protected the victim who deserved to be protected.
Court records would show Bricen Rivers was let out of jail on Monday, June 24th.
What is that?
At 4:05 p.m., despite a bond order noting that Rivers should not be released from jail after 4 p.m. because tracking solutions would be closed by that time.
I'm shaking my head because I'm not, and I should be, but anyone who works in the justice system recognizes the lack of responsibility that often occurs, especially when people aren't talking to each other, people aren't reading documents that they're supposed to be reading. And those few minutes are kind of what helped this chain reaction occur, because that's how the bondsman ended up going to a different GPS company. That's how they didn't know what the bond was supposed to be for. Now, don't forget, there does come a point where they do know that he's not allowed to travel outside of the state. They put a new GPS monitor on it, but he still managed to travel outside the state. And so we still don't have answers as to what happened then.
You what? Man, you crazy as hell. How the hell does that happen? Oh, we didn't even know what he's... Oh, we're just supposed to put this on? Oh, he's not supposed to leave the state? Oh, we should just let him leave the state. What?
How dare you?
That's crazy.
Why was no one alerted immediately? She's killed so shortly after he's released. And I think people fail to realize how quickly it was that she ended up being the victim of a domestic violence murder.
So instead of bail,
Dear Lord.
bail bonding agent who also signed Rivers' release form took him to a different company, Freedom Monitoring Services. Court documents detailed more, as Freedom Monitoring reportedly said the bond order wasn't available at the time. So they took Rivers' word that he was allowed to return to Mississippi, and they didn't set the GPS tracking perimeter to Davidson County.
I've certainly seen mistakes made.
Are you serious? Are you sued? Oh my God. If this family doesn't immediately file a lawsuit against the company that took the defendant's word. Hey, defendant guy that we're supposed to be putting a GPS monitor on, are you able to leave the county? Absolutely I am. Yep. I don't even know. You know what? Actually, I'm not even supposed to be here. What? Oh, I thought this was Chipotle. I was about to get myself a chicken burrito. Oh, I stepped in the wrong damn place. GPS. Nope. I was trying to add guac, trying to get that hot salsa, a little sour cream action. I need to get the hell on out of here. I'm going to Mississippi. What kind of craziness is that? That is nuts. I'm pissed now. I'm mad about this one. That's crazy, isn't it? YouTube, we got 21 likes to 100. Thank you so much, y'all. Hit the thumbs up button. Hit the subscribe button if you like true crime. My name's Patrick. I'm live every night. TikTok, do the same thing. Tap the screen like crazy. Hit the follow button. Thanks for being here. And come over to YouTube, The Mystery Project on YouTube. That's the name of the true crime channel on YouTube. Come subscribe and hang out with us. You get to see the video. You can watch the video. Let's go.
We've seen irresponsible behavior. I've never seen someone or a monitoring agency take the word of a defendant that they're allowed to travel wherever they want.
Yeah, what the hell is that? This person must be outside of their damn mind. Oh, we're supposed to put a GPS tracker on you. Why would you put a GPS tracker on somebody? Because you want to know where they are, which probably means they're not supposed to go somewhere. Why else would they put a GPS monitor on someone? That is dumb. Sued. Jennifer, yes, we sure are. Yep, you can watch on YouTube and Rumble. Just search The Mystery Project.
And remember, the bondsman knew he wasn't allowed to travel also and didn't say a word. And I'll be frank, it isn't just about them. The DA's office makes a call to the father, but the DA's office, at least not from the records I've seen so far, doesn't follow up necessarily with the judge. There were mistakes along the way, really, in terms of
mistakes. Man, putting forgetting to put the clothes in the dryer, that's a mistake. You know what I mean? Or putting your comforter in the dryer but not turning it on, that's a mistake. All right? This is a catastrophic failure on so many people. Literally, a catastrophic failure. Oh my God. Man, if I was this girl's parents, man, metaphorically, heads would be rolling.
Everyone involved in this case, other than Lauren and her family, as to how it was that he eventually was able to travel. I have to add something, Elizabeth. GPS monitoring, orders of protection, they don't stop someone from committing a crime. If you want to commit a crime, you're going to go. If you want to violate an order of protection, you're going to go and violate the order of protection. If you want,
but you're supposed to be able to see that person's doing that so they can intercept them from doing something.
To ignore GPS monitor, you're going to travel. You're going to be there's going to be signs that you left the area, but it's not going to stop you from doing it. The reason it matters is because it makes someone resist sometimes that urge to commit the crime that maybe they wouldn't necessarily have done. And that's the reason that it's so significant.
It wouldn't be until 4 days later on Friday, June 28th, when Freedom Monitoring would receive the bond paperwork. By that time, the company also received a no communication alert from Rivers' GPS monitoring. So they reportedly contacted him and ordered him to return to Nashville to be fit for a new monitor. But on the same day, Rivers' probation officer reached out to Tracking Solutions, which was the court-ordered GPS monitoring service, and informed Rivers' probation officer he never reported to them. So Tracking Solutions sent a violation report to the district attorney's office to let the DA's office know he was in violation of his bond conditions. The DA's office would inform Lauren's father that Rivers hadn't reported for an ankle monitor or had been heard from. However, Lauren's father wouldn't hear that message until 3 days later. On Saturday, June 29th, Rivers would return to Nashville to be fitted with a new GPS monitor. Then 2 days later, on July 1st, Freedom Monitoring said his monitor battery went down to 6% and placed a call to him shortly after 10 p.m. to charge it, which he reportedly did. But then around midnight, Rivers called to say he wouldn't be able to make it to court in Nashville the following day because he didn't have a ride. But on this day, Lauren's father's worst nightmare would come true. He discovered the message left by the district attorney's office from that past Friday and said he could no longer get in touch with Lauren, but also received a text that didn't seem like it came from his daughter. The next day, Lauren's father received a notification her Life 360 tracker had been turned off. Lauren's sister, who she lived with at the time, said she wasn't at home and that the security camera at their front door had been destroyed, prompting Lauren's family to report the 22-year-old as missing.
Oh my God.
Around 10 a.m. on that same day of July 2nd, Freedom Monitoring said Rivers' battery started dying and he wasn't responding to messages throughout the day. So officials contacted his mother, who said she hadn't heard from him or seen her son. So the court then issued a warrant for Rivers for being in violation of court orders after they learned he had been in Mississippi since June 24th and on a GPS monitor with the wrong company. His last location before the monitor died showed Rivers was in Biloxi, Mississippi. But then the case would take a
oh God, not Biloxi.
Devastating turn, as the Harrison County Coroner's Office said that same day Lauren was killed. Police discovered her body a day later on July 3rd when Hattiesburg PD used OnStar to track Lauren's car to a cemetery in Harrison County. While arriving at the scene, authorities say Rivers was seen running from the car, and that's when police made the gruesome discovery in Lauren's car as she was found wrapped in trash bags and sheets. After the devastating discovery, a 6-hour manhunt ensued to find Rivers, who was ultimately tracked down in the woods and taken into custody. He now faces charges including kidnapping, possession of a controlled substance, and murder. At this time, it's unclear if Rivers entered a plea, so it's unclear if down the line the case will go to trial.
So I think anytime
man, you're gonna burn in hell.
There is a murder case, several questions come up. What is the offer going to be? Does a person want to take responsibility because they don't want to put the family through a trial knowing what the ultimate result's going to be?
This guy doesn't seem like the kind of dude that yeah. How'd you need to put it should say Lauren. Does it say Lauren, y'all?
And I think it's also what the evidence is. I think we know.
Let me refresh it.
Here that he's caught nearby. I think there was a manhunt for 4 hours after he fled the vehicle where her body is found. And I think that with the GPS showing that he's in the area, I think he and his attorneys recognize that he's in big trouble. But the question really is, what's the offer and whether he's willing to take it?
As Rivers remains behind bars on a now 6-figure bond amount, Rindleman explains it's surprising.
Oh, are they going to reduce that bond too? You crazy judge. You what? You going to reduce that bond?
He was issued a bond despite his previous violations.
If he had been arrested in New York, for example, I don't think there's any question that he would have been on remand. Other states are different. A lot of states don't do remand. They do $1 million or $2 million. So it surprises me, unless I hate to say this, unless the judge is confident that he can't make bail. Because if the judge is confident he can't make bail, or there's no bond conditions of which the judge believes he can meet, then in a sense, $1 million really is remand.
Lauren's murder caused devastation for her loved ones, as her family remembers her as a doting animal lover who brought a smile to everyone's faces. According to a GoFundMe page for the family, her final wishes were if something were to happen to her, she asked that her brothers, sister, mom, and her beloved rescue cats be taken care of, prompting many questions to be left unanswered. Mainly, how, with all the legal systems in place, could this horrific tragedy still occur?
A GPS monitor is put in place for certain reasons. The GPS, for example, is to track an individual, right? So that if they violate, meaning if they leave the state or they go outside the county, the agency is immediately notified. They're supposed to immediately notify the court and bring that person in. But again, it doesn't stop the crime.
No, they took his word. They took his word. He goes in, I can go wherever I want.
From happening. It just puts a little bit added protection that there'll be a warning potentially before it happens. And so again, the conduct of this defendant, assuming he is the person, perpetrator committing this crime, which I think the evidence is pretty clear, he is ultimately responsible. But there needs to be accountability for everybody else along the way as to how this ended up
sued.
happening.
Online records show Bricen Rivers is still behind bars in the Harrison County Adult Detention Facility in Gulfport, Mississippi.
That's where you're going to live for the rest of your life, dude. And then you're going to burn in hell. Jail, then hell.
Where he is being held on a $1 million bond.
Wow. Yeah, that one's going to piss me off too, y'all. That was Lauren Johansen. Oh, my word. Okay. This one says a man called 911 and claimed a woman suffered an OD at the Palms Casino and Resort. But apparently, since we're talking about it, I guess that's not what happened. So let's see what kind of craziness this dude probably did. Hang on. Let me swap it out. There we go. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button, by the way. We got 9 likes to get to 100. So everybody watching, hit the thumbs up. Hit the subscribe button if you're new here. TikTok, hit the follow button. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night. We need 4 more of the hand hearts as well. And if you want to watch the video, come on over to YouTube. Search the Mystery Project on YouTube. You'll find the channel. You can watch the video with us. We're on Rumble as well. All right, let's go. Let's see what happened here. This has happened in Vegas, I think, too.
And you said this is Spring Valley Hospital?
Yep, emergency room. We received a patient from the Palms. They got called in as an overdose, but on further inspection, it looks like, she was found naked in the room, an unknown caller, and it looks like she was assaulted.
A suspicious death in a Las Vegas hotel room causes a flurry of confusion after it's determined it might not have been an accident as initially thought. Now, a man is behind bars charged with murder for allegedly confessing.
Oh, you a crazy looking Ted Bundy looking SOB. Oh my God, man. Look at that dude. Holy hell, that's a crazy looking dude right there.
To killing a purported sex worker. And the craziest part is how detectives determined this suspect was involved. We break it down with Las Vegas criminal defense attorney Michael Troiano. Welcome to Sidebar, presented by Law&Crime. I'm Jesse Weber. I want you to listen to this sequence of events. So last month, on June 12th at around 5 p.m., a man called 911, reporting a woman in his hotel room at the Las Vegas Palms Casino Resort had overdosed. The man identified himself simply as Kendall, told the dispatcher he was no longer with her in the room. Okay, it's odd, but wouldn't be the first time, I'm sure, the police receive a call like this.
Especially in Las Vegas.
But then what happens? So hotel security, they respond to the room, and they find single mom of 2 young children, 30-year-old Lissa Garcia, seriously injured with a
She's a mom, too?
cut, a laceration on her left jawline, and she was only wearing underwear. Now, according to an arrest report, police were not immediately dispatched because it was thought to be a possible overdose. But Garcia was taken to the hospital, where even more questions arose because hospital staff ultimately called Las Vegas police, saying that Garcia's injuries were not consistent with what was originally thought.
911 emergency, Hill 20472. Do you need police, fire, or medical?
Police.
And you said this is Spring Valley Hospital?
Yep, emergency room. We received a patient from the Palms, room 11117. It looks like it got called in as an overdose, but on further inspection, it looks like, well, she was found naked in the room as an unknown caller. It looks like she was assaulted. She had like bruises and a laceration.
Was she sexually assaulted?
Unknown at this time, but they're actually intubating her right now. She's pretty critical. We're not quite sure what's wrong with her, but she's not breathing.
You said she came from the Palms Casino, correct?
Yeah, it was an unknown caller. They don't know who called, but there was someone it looked like a man.
They're going to find you on the security footage, I hope.
Items in the room, but no one was there. We thought it was like an overdose, but she's not responding to Narcan.
And at this point, Garcia was in critical condition. And to further confirm the suspicion of what's happening, a toxicology report came back negative for drugs or alcohol in Garcia's system, which ruled out the accusation that she had overdosed.
OD.
Now, immediately, police set their sights on the 911 caller, Kendall, but they didn't really know who he was or where he was. That is until they arrived back at the Palms Hotel to learn that the room where Garcia was found was registered to a man named Jason Kendall, who they later determined to be a 35-year-old U.S. Army veteran. Now, after tracking Kendall down, detectives reportedly meet with him at a nearby hotel. He refuses to give a statement, immediately asks for a lawyer. Back to Garcia for a second. She ended up suffering.
Did he really think that they weren't going to find out that you were the one who rented the room? Like, you have to have a credit card, an ID, and they're just going to be like, oh, we don't know. Kendall, who's that?
Suffering a severe brain injury, likely caused by strangulation or suffocation, and she was declared brain dead on June 21st.
Oh, hell.
And about a week after Garcia's death on June 28th, that is when the whole story changes. Why? Because Jason Kendall apparently turned himself into police and reportedly confessed to strangling Garcia to death and sexually assaulting her. The police report states that Kendall admitted to paying Garcia for sex, around $2,000, but when Garcia allegedly asked for more money, he says he snapped, hit her in the face, choked her for 10 minutes before having sex with her. And do you know what really confirmed he was likely the police's main suspect and that he wasn't making this up? He apparently was captured on surveillance video with Garcia in the resort lobby just hours before the 911 call. After about an hour, Kendall reappears on tape, leaving the hotel alone. And according to reports on that video, no one else entered or exited the room until hotel security arrived. So Kendall was charged with open murder, sexual assault, and battery by strangulation to commit sexual assault. He's being held without bail. His next court date is set for early next month. And a GoFundMe has been set up by a friend of
Man, you crazy as hell.
Garcia. It's raised
burn in hell for that, too.
More than the set goal amount of $15,000 to help cover the unexpected funeral costs and celebration of life. Again, a mother to 2 children. We want to talk about this right now with Las Vegas criminal defense attorney Michael Troiano. Michael, thanks so much for coming on. Is this case getting a lot of attention where you are right now?
Yeah, it's been all over the media, thus me being here. And as you went through in great detail, the very strange set of circumstances, I mean, he essentially has put himself on a platter for police and is walking himself straight to a conviction with his confession.
Yeah, any way to defend this based upon the facts that I laid out?
Yeah, right. I mean, that's the first job of a criminal defense attorney, is to try to brainstorm. So what do we know as a fact? We know as a fact that the hotel room was rented in his name. So that's what we would call a bad fact in the business. As you said, it's the cameras have only him going in. Security in Las Vegas casinos are world renowned. There's cameras everywhere. Typically, they have documentation regarding each and every time somebody uses a room key to enter and exit the room. So that's got him fairly locked in. I'm sure that they have video surveillance, so they're going to soon be gathering of him driving to the hotel. Some of the articles and information that I've read states that they have information regarding him searching regarding sex work, and those two, him and the victim, exchanging information. So it seems, at least at this point, there's no doubt he was in the room. So that's going to be a tough hill to climb if they're going to say that it wasn't him. So I'm not sure if this necessarily was a whodunit. It's more likely going to turn into, potentially, depending on the evidence and the medical examiners, if there is any sort of argument for self-defense, that, as he stated initially, he provided $2,000, and then she said basically, nope, I'm taking this money, time to up the price, what we would call in the business a trick roll. So maybe that's one of the first avenues that his defense attorney is going to have to look into, to see if there's any sort of cooperating evidence based upon his statement that he could defend her, or try to get the confession out, see if he wasn't Mirandized, or if he was under the influence of narcotics himself, or if there's some sort of mental health issue that would rise to the ability of maybe putting in an insanity defense. But insanity defense is very, very, very difficult to put on.
And also, I'll give you another bad fact. Apparently, Garcia had sent a text to someone saying she was meeting a man named Jay at the hotel. So Jason Kendall. You walked through a lot of different areas where this could be explored. First of all, I think the difficulty, right, was saying the confession, was coerced, or he wasn't Mirandized properly. Isn't it complicated by the fact that he seemingly voluntarily went to police? It would be different if he was picked up, he's put in a room, there's no, maybe they don't provide him food, they don't provide him the Miranda rights, they keep him all night. But the idea that he voluntarily shows up, that's where I think it could be complicated. Although, as you mentioned, if he was not in the right state of mind and saying things that weren't true, that would be the only way you get out of it, right? Like, either he was making it up, or he was under the influence of something and wasn't recounting the exact details of what happened in that room correctly, right? I think that would be the only way to get past that.
Sure. Showing up definitely changes the legal analysis and fact pattern for his defense attorney, because initially, before you even get into the Miranda concerns and what he was properly informed of, or his mindset at that time is, was he detained? Was he just having a casual conversation? Because law enforcement tries to play that off a lot. Well, he wasn't detained. We were just having a friendly conversation with him about a murder case, right? You see that kind of exaggeration, if you will. But in this particular circumstance, the fact that he went in himself, sure, that's going to be a part of the legal analysis. But what happened when he got there? What room was he brought in? Was law enforcement, as they typically do, carrying guns? Did they place him in handcuffs? Did they give him water and other things like that to make him feel comfortable? And was he free to leave? That's really a big part of the analysis too. And if not, then that's going to be something that they're going to be looking into in great detail.
I want to ask you about why he would turn himself in. And I will tell you why I'm saying that, because we have a source who said that Kendall went to a lawyer's office on June 18th for a consultation. So this was after the alleged assault, before turning himself in. Do you think there was anything said during the course of that consultation, or even the idea that, if this is true, he went to a lawyer, that he maybe thought it was best for him to turn himself in as opposed to police catching him?
I don't know too many attorneys that are going to say turn yourself in. So I'm not going to say that whoever he may or may not have met with gave him that legal advice. If at any point you were in the very rare and unusual circumstance in which your client was going to turn themselves in, whether just to be booked or potentially to have a conversation or an interview with detectives, the first thing you would do is reach out to the detectives as counsel, let them know that he has confirmed as his attorney of record and that he has those type of protections, and set some parameters for your client for their protection and their safety. In addition, in the case of this high media status, I would also believe that a defense attorney who's qualified would reach out out to the district attorney's office to let them know, hey, we're going to be coordinating with law enforcement to potentially have a discussion. So I'm not doubting your source that he went to a lawyer's office, but I highly doubt he followed that attorney's advice.
By the way, what is the open murder charge? Can you explain that to us? What do you need to prove it? How does that work in Las Vegas?
Yeah, so in Nevada, the way that it works is they don't have to specifically come down initially and say, hey, this is first degree murder with malice of forethought, or this is second degree murder, which is any other type of murder, or this is this is the felony murder rule. We also have different layers underneath that, we call lesser included, if you will, voluntary manslaughter, involuntary manslaughter. So basically anything from involuntary manslaughter all the way up the gambit to first degree murder is on the table.
And do you think they're trying to assess what exactly happened in that room? So they're not just taking his account for it, but they're also seeing what the physical evidence has to say as well?
Yeah, that's what a proper law enforcement investigation should do. I can't name the case off the top of my head, but there's a pretty famous story that's not necessarily an old wives' tale, where a gentleman would keep going into law enforcement and confessing to murders that he didn't commit. And it turned out years later, he actually did commit some offenses, and he was using that almost as a red herring. And that's probably one of the main reasons why they would do such things, because the defense attorney can say, hey, disregard what my client said. He was out of his mind, or he was just making up a story, trying to get attention, whatever it may be. Look at the facts, look at the evidence, and that's going to be law enforcement's job.
I want to take a step back for something. We cover a number of different crimes here on Law&Crime and on Sidebar. Some of them are in rural communities, some of them are on the outskirts, all different across the nation. I always find it very peculiar and very unique when you see a crime committed in a big city. So we covered one recently that happened in Manhattan. I love Las Vegas. I've been to Las Vegas thousands of times. You're from Las Vegas. How often do you see something there, born and raised? How often do you see something like this happening in a major Las Vegas hotel room?
There's a lot of disturbances. I mean, if you're asking me like this specific pattern,
I can imagine stuff happens in Las Vegas hotel rooms, okay? But I'm talking about like a murder, or an alleged murder, something like that happening in as you mentioned, this is a hotel, there's cameras, there's surveillance, there's security. The idea of those witnesses, there's a lot of rooms. This happening, an attack like this in a Las Vegas hotel room?
It's more often than you would think. Las Vegas media out here does a great job, and as technology gets further along through the years, it's harder and harder for the casinos to hide things. But the casino industry is still the major industry in Las Vegas and essentially all of Nevada. And as we grow up as a city and we're getting closer, we're just barely above 2 million and change or so in Clark County as far as population, and the projections are closer to 3 million in the next 10, 20 years. They're getting better, but at the same time, the casinos have a vested interest to protect the sanctity of their environment. Because if you started,
what happens in Vegas stays in Vegas.
Here in cases like this, continually, tourists may not want to come because they're like, what's going on? Is it safe to go? And so safety, fun, experience is a big selling point, as Vegas is a world-class destination for gaming, dining, and entertainment.
Well, let me couple that with this question. Based upon the account of Mr. Kendall, he claims that Garcia was working in the adult industry. How often do you see, and if we're taking that as true, how often do you see violence against people in that industry?
Constantly. And I see it both ways. I know of what we call them Johns, if that's, I know his name is close to that, but a John is a term basically for a gentleman or a female, I guess, that is going to solicit a prostitute for sexual acts. And the female side of that, essentially, that they'll try to do a trick roll. Basically, they'll show up to a hotel room, drug them, steal their Rolex watch, demand $2,000 and say, oh, that's fine. Give them $2,000 and then say, no, we want more, and play those kind of games. So yes, I've represented a gambit of people that are been involved in both sides of that transaction, if you will.
By the way, he has a preliminary hearing scheduled for August 6th. The way works in other jurisdictions, I imagine it's the same way. It's where the prosecution has to present evidence to show probable cause that'll be enough to move it forward to trial, right? I mean, is that what we're expecting, some of this to be presented at that preliminary hearing?
Sure. So yeah, you said it, probable cause. It's a probable cause determination. As I explained it to clients who come in for a consultation, preliminary hearing is a low burden of proof. Slight or marginal evidence is what you need to present it. And specifically in the state of Nevada, a judge or a justice of the peace who's proceeding over the case at this stage of the proceedings cannot even judge credibility. So for an example of a case where it's just a he said, she said kind of thing, and I know that's not the case here, she's deceased, but just hypothetically in those type of situations, even if the victim was to take the stand and come off completely incredible to the judge, and your client was to take the stand and come off just absolutely perfect, the judge the justice of the peace, at a preliminary hearing does not have the ability to rule on credibility. That is a question for the jury. And that is why so many cases get what we call bound over or pushed up into the higher district court, because they say that's a question for the jury or a question of fact. So as far as the preliminary hearing is concerned, I tell clients we call it a baby or a mini trial. They're not going to put on all their evidence. They're not going to put on all their witnesses. They just want to get in, get their slight or marginal evidence or their probable cause, and get out and get up to district court where the real fight begins.
And to be clear, based on everything I laid out, they present maybe even a fraction of this. I would imagine there's enough to hold this over for a trial. But let me ask you this. In a case like this, again, the reporting is he turns himself in. We have a preliminary hearing. Do you think we would see some movement here in the case? By that, do you mean, would you be surprised after a preliminary hearing we could see, a plea or a plea offer on the table? Do we see that usually after a preliminary hearing? I'm just wondering, considering how bad this evidence is against Mr. Kendall right now.
Right. I mean, both parties, being the state and the defense, are going to need some time. So I would bet that it's not going to go forward on August 6th. I have no inside information, but just going off my 16 years of experience of doing this, a murder case, he's going to be held no bail. So it's not like he's going anywhere. And if he is even remotely in a position where he's going to take the advice of his counsel, I would suggest, hey, we don't need to rush this and go forward on August 6th. Let's collect some evidence and have a better evaluation. But to, I guess, more directly answer your question, once it gets past the preliminary hearing, yeah, that's an appropriate time to have that conversation regarding potential negotiations. I don't think it's going to come quickly unless the defendant in this case is just basically, hey, I did it. I have remorse. This is the worst
I'm guilty
decision of my life, and lays it out and instructs his attorney, just tell them I'm ready to deal. I don't want to put the family through this. Absent that, they're going to go through everything. And that's important on both sides because they have the option to go to the death penalty. I don't know if that's been decided yet or not. That's something that the state does, is they have to present a notice of intent to seek death. We still have the death penalty here in Nevada.
Yup, and it's in Carson City.
And especially if that is on the table at any point, then you can forget about a negotiation anytime soon.
Would this be a case that would qualify for that? And how often is that imposed in Nevada?
I don't have a percentage for you. Basically,
it's Nevada, Jesse.
The Clark County District Attorney's Office has a committee, and they review that and make that determination of whether or not they're going to do it. Sometimes they'll do it and revoke it at a later time, as it is their choice. And basically, they got to look into the aggravating circumstances of this particular case. So as gruesome as it sounds to us and to her family and loved ones, there may not be those aggravating circumstances in this particular case. I don't know a whole lot about the accused at this point.
Sure.
You mentioned that he has a military background. I did find some information that apparently he has a federal felony charge from West Virginia in about 2014, something involving drugs, but I don't have the exact details on that. Other than that, his criminal history seems pretty limited, but there may be more of what happened in that room that could lead to that decision.
Michael Troiano, really appreciate you coming on.
Damn.
I enjoyed our conversation. Thank you so much.
Holy mackerel. Are you going to burn in hell for that one too? You're going to burn in hell for that one too. All right, we got one more. Dawn, thank you. You're so sweet. Thank you for the love. I appreciate it. Thank you. Okay, we got one last case, y'all. YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Let's get 200 likes. Come on, y'all. Everybody hit the thumbs up button. TikTok, thank you. Oh, thank you for hitting the goal. You guys are sweet. Thank you so much. Hit the follow button, tap screen like crazy. Almost 50,000 likes, y'all. Almost 50,000 likes. Thank you so much. Let's keep going. This one sounds really sad too, y'all. This one's 13-year-old girl fatally shot during an altercation at the Alderwood Mall food court. Oh no. Let's see what happened here.
Developing now, shockwaves rippling through one Snohomish County community this morning.
This after a 13-year-old girl was shot and killed inside a mall. This happened at the Alderwood Mall in Linwood. Police say
Dear Lord.
that girl caught in the crossfire of a gun battle in the food court. Let's get right to KOMO's Mo Hyder, who's been gathering new information as the story has developed overnight. Mo.
Yeah, of course, this is a very popular mall in the area, and as you mentioned, this happened inside at the food court. This is also at a time during dinner time when people were there with their family and friends as well. Go ahead and take a look at your screen.
Oh my word. Don, thank you.
Here. This is from the Linwood Police Department. They have identified the victim as Jada Woods Johnson. We've learned there was an altercation inside between two groups, and that's when a teenager fired a gun and the bullet hit Johnson, who wasn't part of either group from what we're being told. She had nothing to do with the altercation. We spoke to people who were inside at the time. They described the moments as scary and something difficult to process. One person who saw what happened to Johnson immediately tried to save her.
I ran to the person. She was laying on the floor. Her friend was freaking out. She lost consciousness, and then her pulse was dropping. So when her pulse was dropping, that's when we started doing CPR, mouth to mouth.
Oh my God.
We're also being told from there she was rushed to a nearby hospital where she later on died. There's still a lot to this investigation at this time. We haven't been told what this altercation was about, what led up to this as well. We'll certainly keep you updated once we do get that.
So she's just randomly in there trying to get her some pizza or something like that in the food court in the mall. This is crazy as hell. Darling Deb, right? Exactly. This is a huge reason why people shop online now. Yeah, exactly.
Information though. For now, live in Linwood, Mo Hyder, KOMO News.
And Mo, we know the suspect is in custody. What do we know about him and his arrest?
Yeah, Holly, well, according to the Linwood Police Department, they do.
Oh, thank God they got somebody arrested, though.
Say he is a 16-year-old teenager from the Edmonds area. We also do know that his mother actually brought him to the police station where he then turned himself in. We're also
16 years old, acting crazy as hell.
You know, he's being booked in jail for murder. We have not been told about the potential charges he could face, so we're certainly keep you updated.
Oh my God, Don, thank you.
On that though, once we do find out.
All right, Mo Hyder reporting for us live this morning. Mo, thank you. We have reported on violence near the mall this year, but not inside until now. Back in February, Linwood police investigated armed carjackings outside the AMC Theater, which is outside the mall, but across.
Oh, hell no.
From the food court entrance. 2 people were robbed at gunpoint, their cars were taken. 4 young people, including 2 14-year-olds, were later arrested in that case. The last violent incident in the mall's food court was back in 2017, excuse me, when a man stabbed a security guard during a scuffle over food handling practices. That guard was not seriously injured, and the person who stabbed him claimed he acted in self-defense.
Where the hell is this, y'all? What the hell mall is this? Does anybody know where this is? Like the actual location of this?
All right, that brings us to this morning's KOMO Post Poll, so grab your cell phone this morning. We have covered so many cases involving young teens and guns recently, so this is what we're asking this morning as you grab your cell phone. What do you think is the biggest driver of gun violence among young people? 43% there in the second spot saying perceived lack of legal consequences. 33%, so a third of our folks responding so far this morning saying a lack of parental guidance. 16% saying guns are too easy to access. You see these numbers changing live. 7% saying kids lack impulse control. Let us know what you think as we deal with another violent act involving teens. Just point your cell phone's camera.
Unbelievable.
At that QR code on the right-hand side of your screen. There's going to be a link that pops up. Tap that with your finger, and that will take you directly to our poll at KOMOnews.com.
Oh, no. Is this in Seattle? Is this in Seattle?
By Linwood Police, this guy right here in this white hooded or this white sweatshirt. Police say the teen here in the white sweatshirt is a suspect, and it might even be a hooded sweatshirt. It's hard to tell in this shot, but you can see it from the front here. A suspect in a shooting that happened in the food court this evening at Alderwood Mall. He remains on the run tonight. He's believed to be armed, and they're asking for anybody who recognizes this guy. I know it's a little hard to see his face, but maybe you recognize him just from this shot here to call 911. Ryan Sims joins us tonight. He's been working on this story all afternoon and evening long. Ryan, what's the latest for us tonight? What have you learned?
We learned some pretty troubling things about what happened here at the Alderwood Mall, Preston. First and foremost, the victim in this case,
I'm pretty sure this happened last night, y'all,
is a teenage girl. We don't know her exact age, but she is a teenager, and in more
or it was either yesterday or last Wednesday. Let me look again.
Breaking and troubling than that already is the fact that it is not an exaggeration to say that she was in the wrong place at the wrong time. I want to kind of picture this, paint the scenario. It was about 6:40 p.m. There are families here. It's teeming with people. After all, this is the day before a major holiday, so people have off tomorrow.
Yep. Last Wednesday.
They're spending the weekend they're spending the weekend at the mall, the beginning of the weekend. And what we learned is that this girl just happened to be walking in between two groups who were mouthing off at each other. And one of those groups pulls out a gun, fires at the other group. And this girl, unfortunately and tragically, was in the middle. And again, wrong place, wrong time. She was taken to the hospital with life-threatening injuries. We spoke to a witness who said that that girl was shot square in the chest. One of the witnesses that we spoke to was just so compelling and awful to hear what he went through. All this happened.
My God, that is insane.
Happened right by his shop. He's an employee here at the mall at a clothing store. He hears the gunshot while everyone else is understandably running away. This guy has military experience. He told us that it is his training that when you hear trouble, because of his military experience, you don't run away from the trouble, you run towards the trouble. That's what he did. He was one of the first people to get to this girl as she's on the floor of the food court here, and he was among the people who gave her CPR, revived her, but he said that it was a struggle. She was shot in the chest, so it was a struggle to keep her around until medics arrived, but he did that. He and his friends also gave her, mouth to mouth. Again, it was part of CPR. Her pulse started to go down. They brought her back time and time again. And this guy said that, he never thought that something like this would happen. You see it in these worst case kind of scenarios. Obviously, they have drills for this here for employees to go through this here at the mall. But he said that, the fact that he had to use his military training and his military experience to help revive and keep alive a teenage girl who was, again, in the wrong place at the wrong time.
At the mall.
He said it just broke his heart, and you got to feel for him. We also spoke to other employees here who said that their training kicked in. Their training in terms of active drills, active shooter drills, where at the sound of those gunshots, they heralded everyone in, all the customers into their stores, shut those security gates that you see that they shut down at the end of the night. They shut those security gates down. All the customers who were in the store got put in the back. They hunkered down in the backs of those stores with the doors locked until they were given the all clear for police and, from authorities. So it was just a dramatic, sad day here at the mall. And it goes to, we got to underscore this too, that again, it was teeming with people. This is the beginning of a holiday weekend. And again, a lot of people had off tomorrow. So we saw more than usual, more than what we would normally see on a Wednesday night, families starting what would be a 4-day weekend here. And so
that's so sad.
So many of the people who had to hunker down here in the aftermath of this shooting said that they were traumatized, they were shaking after what occurred here, Preston.
Well, Ryan, talking about the actual mall itself, what happens there now? I know that was taped off by police tape today, and it was quite a mess as the lockdown took place. But there's that investigation.
Don, thank you.
Now, I mean, where that girl was shot. What happens after this?
Well, I think, you see there in the distance that there's still at least one police car there in the distance. We're going on about almost 5 hours since this all happened. So we have at least one, if not several, police vehicles on the scene. But it is our understanding from mall management and mall authorities that it is going to be business as usual. It is expected that police will wrap up sometime in the next few hours. And I checked.
Ain't crazy as hell saying something like that after that happened. Business as usual.
How dare you?
That's a little insensitive, isn't it?
The mall website, they say that they are still going to be open business as usual, 11 o'clock tomorrow morning for a day that could be teeming with families, people heading out for 4th of July, doing some 4th of July
Nurse KK, thank you. Shout out to the nurses.
shopping. So despite everything that happened today and really kind of the frantic, fraught situation that occurred, it is going to be business as usual tomorrow, 11 o'clock in the morning here at the Alderwood Mall, Preston.
What a tragic situation. I know a lot of people are probably thinking tonight, gosh, it's not safe to go to the mall now, and it's one of the only ones there in Linwood that people can actually go to. Hopefully things get safer from here. Ryan, thanks for the update tonight. We appreciate it.
Can you walk us through what happened this afternoon?
So unfortunately, this evening at approximately 6:04 p.m., we had an altercation inside of Alderwood Mall near the food court involving two groups of people.
D-Lo, thank you.
During that altercation, one male pulled out a gun and fired a round, at least one round, towards the other group. Everyone then fled in different directions. Unfortunately and tragically, a uninvolved female was hit, and she was transported from the scene. I don't have any further information right now on that. Other than that, it was a teenage female, and she was uninvolved with either party, based on our information. I've
in the food court trying to eat. Next thing you know, that's it. You're meeting Jesus. That's horrible.
Sent out via Twitter a still photo from Alderwood Mall security video, which they provided for us, of the person we believe to be the shooter. He's described as a black male teenager with a large afro. He appeared to be wearing a white sweatshirt with some type of black writing on it, and possibly white shoes. He also was, there was another group that was part of the altercation.
Spiritual Diamond, thank you.
And we will be working on sending out a photo of those males. At this point, none of the involved parties are identified, and none are on scene any longer that we are aware of. The mall has been, is no longer in a lockdown. People are free to leave the mall. A search has been conducted. We had air overhead and canine on scene, but at this point, we don't have the suspects identified or in custody.
But then he turns himself in, y'all. That's what we learned at the beginning of this, that he did turn himself in. His mom brought him in.
So our heart is, of course, with this victim who was shot and had nothing to do with the altercation or anything else. And so our concern are with her and her family. And we've got everyone on scene doing a full investigation, both in conjunction with Alderwood Mall, who's assisting us, and with our fellow agencies in the area. I'm going to try to answer any questions. I don't have much additional information.
Do you know around the age group of the two groups that were,
teenage, and I would say older teenager.
School just got out. This is a place where a lot of kids hang out for the summer or whatever. I mean, just kind of your reaction. There's a lot of young kids and one who just had to be a victim of gun violence today while hanging out.
Well, I think what I'd point out is the mall is a place for the whole community to gather, and the mall does a good job at security within the mall. This was really an altercation between two groups that chose to do it here at the mall. And so that's unfortunate and frustrating for the whole community, and to create gun violence in our midst is really disheartening and upsetting.
How many suspects are you guys looking for?
We
currently the one, I think, huh? Don, thank you.
Believe one person actually fired a gun. Then there is a different group of 4 to 5 males. So that's what we're trying to figure out right now. There could be more associated on either side, but those are kind of the basic info based on the video we've seen.
What would your message be to just the community? Obviously, there's somebody who you believe is responsible for the shooting who's out there. You never know kind of the mentality somebody goes into when they're running from police and trying to get away from
Right, I would encourage it, and we did send out via Twitter a picture of our believed suspect. So if they know that person, please call 911. Call Linwood Police Department or come to the police station and provide that information anonymously or in person, and give us that information so that we can track down those people in a safe manner and hold people accountable as the law.
Timothy, this happened up in Washington State, apparently around Seattle. Nurse KK, thank you.
Expects us to, and yeah, if they know if they recognize any of them, they should call 911 and get that information to us.
How long was the food court on lockdown?
How long? I don't know exactly. The incident happened at about 6 p.m., 6:04. People were locked down in various businesses for safety, and then within the last 45 minutes, we made sure that we communicated both online and through in conjunction with mall security to let them know that they no longer had a shelter in place and they could leave. And then the additional thing I would ask, if anybody was here at the mall and witnessed any part of this and then left, I would encourage them to, again, call 911 or call Linwood Police or come down so that we can get any information from them on anything they happen to have witnessed.
Could I just get a quick synopsis from the top? Cairo's mics interfere with our mics.
Sure. At 6:04 p.m., approximately inside the mall near the food court, there was an altercation between one group of teenagers and at least one other teenager. And then in response to that, a teenager pulled a gun and fired a round. And
what an idiot.
Tragically, that errant round hit an uninvolved teenage female.
And that dude was 16, y'all. 16-year-old kid.
Who's been transported from the scene.
What's the condition?
I don't know. I haven't heard that yet. She was...
Recovered a gun?
No, we have not recovered a gun.
Is this the first time an incident has happened, a shooting incident has happened at Alderwood Mall? Did you recall?
I mean, I've been around a long time, so I could think back a long time ago. Certainly, it's the only one in recent memory. It's not a normal event at Alderwood Mall or anywhere in
How was
our
the
community.
response after the
I hope so.
And who responded?
Well, every officer in the area, of course from Linwood PD, but also we had great support from Snohomish County Sheriff's Office, Mount Lake Terrace, Edmonds, and probably other agencies that I'm just unaware of that all responded to assist us either with a perimeter or with searching. We had the State Patrol Air Unit was on scene providing overhead coverage. We had canines from out of the area come in to try to assist. So we had a pretty robust response immediately.
After the shooting, was this an argument between two groups? What exactly?
Certainly an altercation, yeah. Something precipitated it and then ultimately resulted in one person pulling a gun and firing at least one round.
And this was an innocent bystander?
Yes. All indications, the female who was hit had nothing to do with either of those two groups.
I mean, Chief, we see this
Crazy as hell. Bubble, thank you.
pretty much every jurisdiction, but teen violence, we're seeing so much of it. Just interested on your thoughts of, and not to get into specifics on numbers, but I think we can all agree it's an issue. Your thoughts on that? Here we are, another example of that.
Well, I think there's issues of accountability and parental oversight and
or lack thereof.
So, yeah, and alternatives to violence. I think we need
KFO, good to see you. Thank you.
to encourage and enforce those. But I think accountability is also a big part of this, which could be difficult to within the criminal justice system with juveniles. It's a difficult thing to hold people accountable at times.
Was she taken to Providence?
I don't have that. I could find out, but I don't know.
Suspect.
I'm sorry, Chief, do you
India, she was only 13.
have this?
I do.
And I can't help but notice you seem emotional. I mean,
I am. It's upsetting on a number of different levels. To have a totally innocent teenager hit is very upsetting. To have other teenagers engaged in this behavior on the eve of a national holiday, also upsetting. I grew up in this area. I went to this mall. I still...
Yeah, you could tell that this guy's, he's pretty upset about it. He's torn up about it. Don, thank you. Damn, you guys are amazing. Thank you for all the love on TikTok tonight. Thank you, Marnie. Thank you.
Frequent it, and so to have this kind of violence, senseless violence occur is upsetting. It's upsetting for the officers and, of course, anyone that was inside the mall trying to enjoy a pre-holiday shopping event.
Yeah, it's heartbreaking.
Are no suspects still on the run? Any danger to the public?
Well, I guess yes, in the sense that that person is armed or was armed, and we have not recovered that gun or that person. So there is a continued generalized threat to. I don't think it's. There's not a random ongoing thing, but the person is clearly a threat and needs to be taken into custody.
So description.
Yes, the description and I did send out a photo via X or Twitter. Was a black male teenager, probably 15 to 18, with a large afro, wearing a white sweatshirt with black writing on it, and yeah, that's the details we have right now.
And his mom turned him in.
Now you mentioned that they chose to do this here. Was that? Was just
Well,
to say
they didn't come here to do that event. No, it's just that they came here and then decided to engage in violent behavior. So that's what I mean. Not that they came here to do that.
What are some activities that kids could do besides just hanging out at the mall? Just because I know Linwood is doing some stuff, so maybe some stuff that's upcoming that kids and parents could enjoy with their families.
Well, the 4th of July weekend, there's got to be fireworks shows all over the area. I would encourage everybody to attend, safe and sane one. A family barbecue would be a good idea, or going to the park.
Yeah, staying home.
Park and engaging in, just better outlets than random violence, which is just pointless and disheartening.
The investigation still going on. Do we think this may have been gang related?
I haven't had any indication of that specifically.
Okay.
No. That's all I have for now. So watch Twitter. We will provide any additional photos that might assist the public in helping us identify these involved people. All right. Thank you.
Oh, man, that is freaking tragic, y'all. Bubble Guts, thank you. Don, thank you. Y'all are sweet. Thank you for the love. TikTok, you guys are going crazy. Unbelievable, y'all. Just randomly in the mall, start yelling. Bam. Somebody just standing off on the side. 13-year-old girl. Done. Donezo.
You what?
Unbelievable. But that's all I got for you tonight, y'all. That's all I got for you. So, hey, Don, thank you. So, YouTube, hit the thumbs up button. Thank you for being here. Thanks for hanging out, y'all. Make sure you hit the subscribe button, too, if you're new. My name's Patrick. If you like true crime, I'm live every single night. Basically every single night. Yeah. I guess I'm going to go get some sleep. Oh, my goodness. How does that happen? Love you guys. YouTube, take care. Rumble, thank you. Leave some comments, y'all. Go back and rewatch the videos. Always hit the thumbs up button. I love you guys. See you tomorrow night. Later. And TikTok. Yeah, God rest her soul.